This is IGN. New crew missions and a revamped stress system propel this sequel to success. This is your IGN review of Citizen Sleeper 2 Starward Vector by Jarrett Green. Science fiction has a long history of telling poignant human stories through the lens of non-human subjects. 2022 Citizen Sleeper earned its place alongside stories like Blade Runner almost instantly, thanks to its introspective interrogation of personhood and community in a world where all of it feels fragile. And this sequel's strong, system-hopping story consistently hits the same highs. And though it can be very slow-paced, repetitive, and full of walls of text, a byproduct of its tabletop-inspired design, overhauled survival systems, new multi-layered crew missions, and an upgraded sense of tension in every dice roll makes Citizen Sleeper 2 Starward Vector more engaging more often. Citizen Sleeper's RPG qualities resemble pen and paper systems like Blades in the Dark and Ironsworn more than popular RPGs like Dungeons & Dragons or video games like Final Fantasy. This is most evident in how little you interact with your stats from a planning and preparation perspective. How good and bad you are at things affects everything you do, and proper allocation of the limited amount of dice you have for the tasks ahead is the crux of your decision-making, but there's very little you can do to modify the outcome of these rolls or buffer yourself against potential consequences outside of that. Citizen Sleeper 2 makes good use of its all-new crew systems, putting your hangers-on to work during more elaborate sequences. You can take up to 2 crew members with you on special jobs like scrapping old derelict ships out in space or surveying an asteroid for drinkable water, each with their own specializations and a pair of dice that you can assign to tasks. Missions that require more hands are often longer and take several cycles of multiple steps to be completed. Bashing open the hull of a ship so that a more hardware-inclined ally can find the mainframe and prep it for your hacker to steal some data, for example. Efficiency is key because every cycle costs supplies, and once you run out of those, disaster escalates quickly. Almost every mission, called drives here, involves making connections and building relationships with people. Community building in the static space station of Erland's Eye was a core value of the original's plot, and Starward Vector re-emphasizes this message in its system-spanning journey both in story and gameplay. It's a message that feels even more important these days as well. Solidarity among like-minded people and a collective wit and will to fight for change can help overcome the limitations of class and resources when up against seemingly impossible odds. The colorful characters you meet along the journey are mostly believable individuals, even if they aren't all that layered or deep. Though enjoyable, especially when some familiar names show up in unfamiliar places, you won't find many of these travelers and tinkerers to have surprising turns of personality or purpose outside of your first impressions. Even some of my favorite potential crewmates follow archetypes you've seen just about everywhere, like the jet bike riding space courier cadet, who fills the role of spunky go-getter. Many NPCs that can't be lured into your party, from dutiful caretakers of small settlements to hardened bounty hunters, are one-note caricatures that stay long enough to be novel when needed and vanish right before they become burdensome, a good quality borrowed from pulp noir and sci-fi novels that keeps the intrigue machine churning. Citizen Sleeper 2 Starward Vector doesn't stray too far from what made the first one a cult hit, but it doesn't need to. It tells a rich and poignant story about the complex nature of control on oneself, when that self is a machine that can be rebooted and hacked, finding an enriching community in the face of overwhelming odds, and expressing personhood both to oneself and to others. Its visual, novel-like presentation is heavy on reading and dice rolling, so it's not exactly pulse-pounding, but the retooled character classes and stats, new crew missions, and stress mechanics provide just enough feedback and create a sense of precarity throughout that it stays engaging. Citizen Sleeper 2 Starward Vector's IGN score? 8 out of 10. Thanks for listening to IGN. My name is Tony Jackson, and for the latest Citizen Sleeper 2 Starward Vector updates, visit us at IGN.com.
Spoken Layer.